It's Chantel with Wildberry Quilting, and today is week 1 of the Halloween Memories quilt along, and we are going to be sewing this quilt here on the back. It is absolutely beautiful. Don't worry if you do not have your book or your supplies yet. I will link Fat Quarter Shop down below. You can find everything that you need there. You have plenty of time to order this stuff and get it to you, and they're pretty quick about shipping stuff out. And you'll have plenty of time to catch up because this is going to be a 9-week quilt along. So we are really going to be taking our time with this. You could, I think, easily whip this out very quickly if you wanted to, but we're just going to go slow and enjoy the process. So don't hesitate to order. You're not too late. You've got plenty of time. For this first video, I'm going to show you how I kit everything up and get ready to dive into the quilting process. And this will be very helpful, not just for this quilt, but for any quilt or other project potentially that you might be wanting to work on. This method just helps me stay organized and keep everything together, and I think you guys will enjoy it. I need to have 32 10-inch squares or some fat quarters. Now, half of 32 would be 16. I can easily get 2 10-inch squares out of a fat quarter. And there should easily be 16 here. So let's go through and pick out what ones I think will work the best for this project. I think these brightly colored yellow ones will work really well. I've got some dark blues here, and I'm going to do an initial sort to begin with, which is just going to be sorting out the ones that I think will work best and eliminating those that might not look as good. And I can also kind of sort a little bit by color as well, which will give me the option to go back afterwards and make sure that I have a somewhat equal amount of each of the colors depicted in my quilt. So let's see what we've got. These are some kind of taupey ones. We'll put those all over here. And I'm going to put these into the low volume pile. This one's kind of in between. It could work if we needed it to, but I don't think we need it to. We should have plenty here. All right. It looks like some of these we're only going to have 2 of, which is fine. And this one, there's only one that's in this kind of pinky color or peachy color. It's really more peach than it is pink. So we're definitely going to include these 3. Let me face them all the same way so they're easier to count. All right. So I've got 3 already. And I want to include these 2 oranges as well, which will give us 5. So we only need 11 more. Now, I'm kind of limited on the amount of taupes that I've got, so I'm going to move this off into the low volume pile. That's not really that bright. And I'm going to put these 2 into the maybe pile. I think I'm going to put this in the maybe pile as well. I'm not sure if we're going to include the taupes yet or not. Now, I really, really love all 4 of these bright reds. And this is kind of a fall quilt, so I think we can get away with using all 4 of them. So they're going to make it into our definite pile as well. And this is the next smallest amount we've got. Looks like there's 3 of these. I'm just going to put those all in that pile. So far we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we've got room for 4 more, which would be 2 from each of these stacks. I'm going to say, that's a tough one because I like all of these. Let's come back to that pile. All right, I think definitely we're gonna have to go with that one. And oh boy, which one do I think looks best with our pile of other fabrics? See, if you're ever unsure, start auditioning it with your other fabrics and see which one really seems to work well with it. And they all seem to work really well with it. So at that point, you can start looking through the designs that you've got. I've already got 1, 2, 3 of this design, of this pattern. And what other options? We've got this guy. I've got 2 of those in here. And this one, I've got 2 as well. And this one, I'm not seeing any of that one in here. All right, so since there's none of that one yet, we could pull that one and also pull that one. And then we just got to limit it down from here. I'm really thinking that one. Do we have any others of that one in here? It's nice to have at least one other colorway of a fabric in there, just so that it doesn't look like you took a fabric and threw it in, which is why I picked the second one of this. But I'm not seeing that I have a second color of this particular fabric. It might be the only one in the bundle. No, there was also the taupe version. So yeah, we'll just go with this guy. I think that's our best bet. Now, since we are doing 2 of each of these, it'll kind of work itself out anyways, because I'm not using 10-inch squares. I'm using fat quarters, and I'm going to be taking 2 from each of these. I could use that opportunity to introduce more of these into it, but that's going to be a lot more work. I'm going to have to cut into these fat quarters, which I could potentially save for another project. So I'm just going to work with these ones. And honestly, I think these are some of my favorites in the bundle because they are the brightest colored, although those are really gorgeous too. And that's going to make a really cool quilt. But this is going to be the way to go, I think. 16 of these, which I'm going to cut up. And I've got my solid. And that is going to be the gray color for those same blocks. And then for my hourglass blocks, I'm going to use these. So let's get cutting. All right. So I'm going to bring this over and I'm going to iron 4 of these at a time. Now we're going to be going through and doing all of these colorful blocks the same, but you don't want to stack all of your fabrics together because you will not end up with even cuts. And I like to do this kind of systematically, but in batches. Anytime you treat them with starch or a fabric, whatever, they will shrink. So you're going to want to iron them and get all of that shrink out the first time. Even if you don't have wrinkles, you're still going to want to use your best press or your starch or whatever product it is that you are using, that you will be using when you do your blocks. All right, so now I have gone through and I've ironed 4 of these. I am going to stack them. And as I stack them, I'm going to iron them to each other. That way they will act as if they are one fabric when I am cutting them. And I like to do this by matching up salvages and trying to put the smallest piece of fabric on the top. You'll notice that as you go, you'll see that some of your fat quarters might vary just a little bit in size, and one might be a little bit longer or a little bit wider than another. That's completely normal. Fat quarters are just that way. But no worries. It's easiest if you have the smallest one on the top. But if by some chance you did not lay them out that way, you could always flip it over and cut it from the back too. You just want to get everything lined up as close as you can to even. Using that salvage edge really helps to line you up. All right. Now I'm going to cut these. Now I generally like to start at a salvage edge where I have everything lined up already, and I'm going to trim some off just so I can get everything nice and even. But I do want to make sure that I'm catching all of the layers when I do that. And if you're not sure, you can take a swipe. Oops, might need to change the blade on my rotary cutter. And just make sure that you've got all 4 pieces all the way down, which I'm not sure I followed that one all the way down, so I can kind of check it. Looks like it's there, so I think it's okay. Now I really want to turn this so that I can cut from the side that's comfortable for me.
Cut new fabric, peace and dreams, Halloween memories flowing like streams. Every square chapter, every thread a theme in this patchwork quilt. We weave our sweet dreams. Orange and black, the colors of the night. Tiny witch hats, that's taking flight from candy corn lanes to graveyard thrills. Each fabric's watch a snippet of story spills. Laughter echoes through the rusty old gate. Kids dressed as ghosts staying up late. Fingers moving fast, firelight flames in this Halloween quilt. We sew our dreams.
All right, guys. So I've got some of my cut pieces in here already, and I just kind of stacked them and layered them on top of each other. I'm going to go ahead and finish putting the rest of my cut pieces in here. And I like to do this in such a way that everything is fairly visible, but also as neat as possible. And as you can see, I've gone through and I've marked everything with my little alphabeties. I have my package of alphabeties right here. These are the ones I haven't used for this project. I do like to keep that in the box though, so that as I use these, I can put the alphabeties right back into the container and I don't have to look for the container. Another thing that I keep in here is a friction erasable pen. When I am going through and cutting out all of my pieces, I will just go through and mark a little dot next to each item as I get it cut out. This helps me make sure that I have not missed anything, and in case I cut something out of order, I can always see that there is a missing dot and I need to go back and cut whatever those pieces are. As you can see down here, I do not have O, P, and Q marked because I have not cut them yet. Those are things that I'm going to wait until the end to do. That is, I believe, my binding. But with the erasable pen, you can always go back later and erase these marks. So there's no worry about if you end up, you know, having a permanent mark on there. That's not going to be an issue. As I go through, I will also put all of this stuff back into the box. And I have one of, let's see, can you see that? I have one of these project boards. I don't really know what they're called. Lori Holt came up with this idea, and she has tutorials of how to make them. But if you would like, there lots of other people have done tutorials of how to make them as well. But if you would like to see me do a tutorial of how to make these, I am more than happy to do that as well. And I will just put one of those in my box as well, and it helps to figure out what pieces I might want to place together. For example, if I want to take off some of my C pieces and attach them to, let's see, the I pieces, I can set them up here on the board. And obviously I wouldn't put a big stack like that, but you get the idea. This is just a very easy way to keep it all together. And everything fits nicely inside of this project box. I got these project boxes from a local store, but I think Fat Quarter Shop also carries some type of project box like this, and you can find them in a lot of different places. I do place everything inside of this before I have it cut as well when I am going through and trying to put everything together. And anything that does not fit, because obviously uncut fabric is a lot bigger than cut fabric, I will just lay on top here, and it's still an easy way to keep it all together. You can see there's a little bit of a ridge there, and it kind of helps keep it held on top. Helps keep it from sliding off in any case. All right, guys. Project boxes have really helped me to keep my stuff together more organized and not be losing pieces. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I will see you guys again next time. Bye.